Honorable members, estimates indicate, honorable members, estimates indicate that achieving these 4 priorities will require at least 5 trillion. This is undeniably a large sum. Some may see it as unrealistic, even audacious, for a country like ours. But allow me to recall President John F. Kennedy's words in 1962 as he rallied America to reach the moon. And this is what he said, and I quote, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone." These 4 projects are our national imperatives, commitments we must embrace without hesitation, not because they are easy, not because they are cheap, but because they are absolutely necessary, because they are worthy of our time. This is the assignment of our generation. This is the purpose for this administration and this parliament, the 13th parliament. And this is the moment we must rise up to. Which brings us to the next question. Given our fiscal constraints, how shall we finance these transformative projects and do so sustainably? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, lies in 2 key financing vehicles: the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund. As noted earlier, our development ambitions require sustained, large-scale investment in education, in roads, in energy, water systems, logistics, transport, and digital network. Yet, our fiscal space is narrow. We cannot continue funding essential infrastructure through unsustainable borrowing and burdening taxpayers with additional taxes. But neither can we afford to postpone these imperatives without risking our future. There is need to be innovative in the use of our national revenues, or the national revenues at our disposal. There is need to deploy our national assets available to us in creating public-private partnerships that will crowd in the enormous pool of private sector resources available regionally and globally. This is why we will establish the National Infrastructure Fund, whose architecture will be underpinned by the reforms in the Government-Owned Enterprises Bill, passed by this august House, that I will sign into law tomorrow. This fund is the strategic solution that will provide a framework to innovatively scale up our resources to match our ambition. It will fulfill our manifesto commitment to rebuild Kenya's infrastructure while reducing reliance on tax and debt. We will do this by using budgeted resources prudently and introducing a financing architecture that leverages capital markets, diversifies ownership through unlocking of national assets through privatization, and use PPP frameworks to channel private capital into public priorities. For decades, Kenya has privatized major public assets from Kenya Airways to KenGen, from Kenya Re to Safaricom. Yet, we cannot point to enduring national assets built from privatization proceeds because the funds were absorbed into budgets and spent. The National Infrastructure Fund will break this cycle. All proceeds from privatization will be ring-fenced, preserved, and reinvested into new infrastructure and wealth-creating assets. When ownership shifts to the private sector for efficiency, the benefits to the public will not diminish, they will multiply. For every shilling invested from privatization proceeds, we aim to attract 10 shillings from long-term investors drawn from pension funds, sovereign partners, private equity, and development finance institutions. This multiplier will allow us to build critical infrastructure without adding to tax or debt burden. This model is proven. Australia's Future Fund, Singapore's Temasek, and UAE's Mubadala demonstrate that commercially run public investment funds can grow national wealth and deliver transformative infrastructure. The National Infrastructure Fund is therefore more than a financing tool. It is a generational strategy, preserving value, mobilizing capital, accelerating delivery, and ensuring Kenya becomes stronger, wealthier, and more competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, our Constitution under Article 201C stipulates that the burdens and benefits of the use of resources and public borrowing shall be shared equitably between present and future generations. In essence, when we use natural resources or borrow, we must ensure future generations are not left poorer. That is why, alongside the National Infrastructure Fund, we will establish the Sovereign Wealth Fund to give full effect to the constitutional principle of intergenerational equity. A portion of all royalties from natural